Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. I got an email from Michelle Nair. Subject line, Comet missing its tail. And then in the email, hey, Jared, the first sentence from this article is, Stargazers are being urged to photograph a comet due to pass Earth that may be missing its tail. And then she gives the link for the article and then says, a comet missing its tail sounds intriguing. Thought you may be interested. Smiley face, Michelle. And yes, Michelle, I am interested in this. You've been watching the channel for a while. I keep track of these things. I keep track of asteroids, comets, meteors. I have a spreadsheet for it. We're going to look at it in just a minute. But why does it matter? Well, for one thing, I think that these things can be used as signs of the times. But for another, I think I have special interest in these things because of the sign of the Son of Man and what Joseph Smith has said about the sign of the Son of Man. So let me just read you a couple things that he said. This is on my quotes A through Z spreadsheet. You have access to this anytime. It's uploaded to the cloud. That's where this spreadsheet is saved. And the link for it is in the description box below. So feel free to come here, copy whatever you want. The tab or the spreadsheet that we're looking at is quotes A through Z down here at the bottom. You can click on these three bars to more easily navigate this. It's all in alphabetical order. Just go down to quotes A through Z. And we're reading on row 152. So the first one that probably most people are already familiar with is this. This is from Scriptural Teachings of the Prophet Joseph Smith, compiled by Joseph Fielding Smith, pages 286 to 287. There will be wars and rumors of wars, signs in the heavens above and on the earth beneath, the sun turned into darkness and the moon to blood, earthquakes in diverse places, the seas heaving beyond their bounds. Then will appear one grand sign of the Son of Man in heaven. But what will the world do? They will say it is a planet, a comet, right? A comet, etc. But the Son of Man will come as the sign of the coming of the Son of Man, which will be as the light of the morning cometh out of the east. Now, I want to read a different account of this. You can find this in a book called The Words of Joseph Smith, compiled by Andrew F. Ehat and Lyndon W. Cook, published 1980, page 181. And any misspellings and grammatical errors and stuff like that, that's because they put it down exactly how it was written in the journal of the person that wrote this down, and I copied that over as well. So it's how this was originally written, okay? So Joseph Smith. Read Matthew 24th chapter and all the prophets. He says, then shall they see the sign of the coming of the Son of Man in the clouds of heaven. How are we to see it? Answer, as the lighting up of the morning, of the dawning of the morning, cometh from the east, and shineth unto the west. So also is the coming of the Son of Man. The dawning of the morning makes its appearance in the east and moves along gradually. So also will be the coming of the Son of Man. Will the coming of the Son of Man be? It will be small at its first appearance, and gradually becomes larger, until every eye shall see it. Shall the saints understand it? Oh, yes. Paul says so. Shall the wicked understand? Oh, no. They attribute it to a natural cause. They will probably suppose it is two great comets coming in contact with each other. It will be small at first and will grow larger and larger until it will be all in a blaze so that every eye shall see it. So here's just a little difference in this account, that he said that they may think that it's two comets coming together. In this first one, he says they'll probably think it's a planet or a comet. So you get the idea. And I have other quotes here. Again, if you want to check this out later, it's on row 152 on my quotes A through Z spreadsheet. So that's why I'm interested in comets, meteors, asteroids, because one of these days, it may seem like that's what we're witnessing. And that's definitely what the world is going to think that it is. But it may grow larger and larger, or get closer and closer to Earth, or something like that. And then it's time. So, okay. So let's go to this article. Before I do, though, really quick, there's other news coming out right now about Comet Pon Brooks. And the fact that you should be able to see it if you're in the path of totality during the eclipse in April. And there's people making it seem like this is news, but it's not. We talked about this 6 months ago, possibly even before that. I'm not sure. But I did a video about this 6 months ago where I go into a lot of different details about this comet. This is a very interesting comet. It's not the one that we're talking about in this video. This is a different one that's going to show up, and you should be able to see it in the path of totality on April 8th of this year. So I'll put the link for this in the description box below in case you missed this. There's a lot of details, a lot of interesting things with that comet. But we are going to be talking about not Pon Brooks, but a comet called C2001 S3 Pan-STARRS. That's the one that we're talking about right now. Okay. So stargazers urged to photograph rare comet. So this is interesting. Okay. Stargazers are being urged to photograph a comet due to pass Earth that may be missing its tail. Researchers at the University of Reading said comets are like cosmic windsocks because they can indicate the strength and direction of solar wind, streams of charged particles from the sun that can damage technology on Earth. Scientists can use photos of this comet, which is passing Earth in February and March, to determine the solar wind conditions, especially if the tail detaches. Okay, so this is the time frame that we're looking at, February to March, which is interesting because remember, when we look at President Nelson's the thing that he's doing with his social media posts where he's repeating words and phrases 7 times, so far he's done it 6 months in a row, starting in September. And then the most recent one was on Valentine's Day, where he repeated the word love 7 times. And we've noticed this pattern. And so if he does it a 7th time, that's going to be in March, right? Just before General Conference. So we'll have to see if that's what he does. I don't know what it means, but it does seem like he's intentionally doing this. And it also tends to be, or it's also coinciding with this comet and other things that are taking place in like March and April, but more particularly April. I've been doing a bunch of videos about that lately, so you may want to go back if you missed those. So add another one to the list. We have this comet, Pan-STARRS, that's going to be here over the next month or two. All right, back to the article. Sarah Watson, the PhD researcher leading the project, said learning about solar wind can help scientists forecast it and limit the resulting harm. The comet, known as C2021 or 2021 S3 Pan-STARRS, does not pose a danger to Earth and will be about as far away as the sun, the university said. It has been in the night sky from Wednesday, February 14th, but it will be easier to spot in the coming weeks as it appears further from the sun and will stay above the horizon for longer, although it is still not visible with the naked eye. Okay, so here's another interesting detail. If I'm understanding this correctly, it looks like it's been, visible from Earth since Valentine's Day. And we were just talking about President Nelson's 7s. The most recent one was his post that he did on Valentine's Day. It's kind of weird. It's weird. Okay, so let's move on. A comet's head detaching, right, from the tail, is a rare sight, quote unquote, Miss Watson said, and could allow the team to determine whether there was an increase in solar wind activity. Quote, "We need lots of timed photos of the comet to build up a picture of its journey through our solar system," she said. "This is a fantastic opportunity for amateur astronomers to get out their telescopes, capture a truly spectacular cosmic moment, and make a big contribution to some important science," end quote. The comet is expected to be visible until the end of March. Anyone who captures the comet has been urged to send them, who captures the comet, like a picture of the comet, has been urged to send them to Miss Watson via the university. So this is really interesting. This is a rare occurrence, right? So let's keep our eye on it. There's a little bit more. This is also on BBC, but it's BBC Sky at Night magazine. And it says, visible in the morning sky, Comet C 2021 S3 Pan-STARRS is predicted to shine at a binocular-friendly 8th magnitude from March 2024, or throughout March 2024. So it doesn't seem like it's going to be visible to the naked eye. You're going to have binoculars. Okay. That's important because on my spreadsheet, I'm keeping track of comets that are predicted to be visible by the naked eye, because that could be an indication that it's the sign of the Son of Man if we can actually see it. Of course, these are just the predictions of scientists, and they think that, they see a comet, and if it's not actually a comet, then it's not like they're going to be able to predict it in the first place, but I still take note of it. So I keep track of that in column I, visible to the naked eye, which this one, no. In fact, sorry, I didn't update that yet. No. So it was closest to the sun on Valentine's Day, February 14th. And then its closest approach to Earth is going to be exactly a month later on the 14th of March. So that's kind of interesting. So we have this comet, and then we have the one that's coming up right after that, 12P Pon Brooks, which should be visible if you're in the path of totality, meaning, let's just pull this up. I wasn't planning on doing this, but so we have this eclipse that's coming up, and the path of totality is where you get the full effect of the eclipse. You're like in the shadow, the full shadow of the moon, and it's going to take this path. Remember, it's going to go over the Sacred Grove. It's going to go over Fayette, where the church was founded, established. It's going to go over the Kirtland Temple. It's going to go over Hiram, Ohio, which was at one time church headquarters. And it seems to be part of this series of other eclipses. The one in 2017 went over Adirondack, Far West, Independence, Missouri, which is the future site, or it's the site of the future New Jerusalem. And I know someone's going to bring it up, so I'll pull it up right now. I already did a video about the Ninevehs. I do want to point out really quick. So I've seen people posting about this, and they say that you have all these Ninevehs that are in the path of totality, but they aren't. There's only 2 that are in the path of totality. The other ones are like relatively close, but there's actually only 2 Ninevehs that are in the path of totality. So just keep that in mind. I don't know that necessarily diminishes any theories about this. As you can see, I looked for all Ninevehs across the United States and Canada. These are the only ones I was able to find, and they're all relatively close to the path, but just be careful when you're posting it. Only 2 are actually in the path of totality. Okay. So anyway, let's go back. So we have Pan-STARRS, February through March. And then in April, April through June, we have Pon Brooks. It's going to be on June 24th that Pon Brooks is closest to Earth. And by that point, it should be visible to the naked eye. But during the eclipse, you'll probably need binoculars, according to what we've read. Here's my references over here in column K. So you can go back and read those articles if you want for more details. So like I said, there's been all sorts of things going on with this comet. But for more information on that, watch this video. Okay. And then going back to BBC Sky at Night magazine, in March, C 2021 S3 Pan-STARRS will pass through a part of sky more associated with summer than spring, heading northeast from, and then it lists a bunch of different constellations: Serpens Cauda, and then Aquila, and then Sagitta, and finally into Vulpecula. And I typically like to, whenever there's stuff like this going on, I like to see what those constellations actually are, like what they represent. So in the case of Serpens Cauda, you have like this large constellation that's broke up into two parts. So it's called Serpens when you have the two parts together. It says, it is unique among the modern constellations in being split into two non-contiguous parts. Serpens Caput, which is Serpent's head to the west, and Serpens Cauda, Serpent's tail to the east. So that's kind of interesting that it's going through the tail. If there's any sort of symbolism to this, it may be that we're at the tail end of Satan's reign on earth for these 6,000 years. It's coming to an end, right? The end of the serpent. So that's something to think about. After that, it goes through Aquila, which is Latin for eagle, right? We've talked about Second Esdras, which is a apocryphal book, and it identifies the fourth beast of Daniel's vision as an eagle. In Daniel, it doesn't identify what beast it is. It just describes it as being ferocious and it has 10 horns and so on and so forth. But unlike the first three, it doesn't associate it with a specific animal. But in Second Esdras, it does. And it turns out to be an eagle. And the eagle has been a symbol of these different world powers since the time of the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire itself had the eagle as its like emblem or symbol of the Roman army. And then it's been used all the way until today, including the United States. So when we think about the downfall of nations, eagle is a pretty good symbol to represent that, I think, in these last days. If there was an animal to represent these nations, it'd probably be the eagle. Okay, and then it goes through Sagitta, which is an arrow, like a bow and arrow, an arrow. I don't have anything for that. And then the last one, it goes over Vulpecula, which is Latin for little fox. And that made me think about another thing that I'm tracking, what I'm currently calling President Nelson's bookends, which is simply things that have happened like toward the beginning of his presidency and other things that are like the same type of thing that are happening now. There's been a lot of these. There's been a lot, including the eclipses, right? 2017, just a few months before he becomes president of the church, you have the Jackson County, Adamandayaman, Far West eclipse, the Great American Eclipse of 2017. Then we had one that went over Utah and missed all the temples except for one. It's the only one that was in operation, the Monticello, Utah temple. It happened 7 days after the Israel-Hamas war started. So we had that. And then we have this final one that seems to be part of this series that's coming up on April 8th. That's going to go over Palmyra, Kirtland, and it's the day after conference. So there's a bunch of different things. You can come look at this anytime. The name of this spreadsheet is called Prophets, President Nelson's Bookends. And one of those things are foxes that have been seen at the Temple Mount. It may not have any significance to you and I as members of the church per se. It's not like our church would make a big deal about this, but it's significant to the Jews. They view foxes being at the Temple Mount as a sign that the third temple is going to be rebuilt soon. And we know that time is coming, that there is going to be a temple in Jerusalem. But anyway, we had one sighting that was documented in 2019. President Nelson's second year as president of the church, and then one in 2023 in January, and another one in 2023 in July. And I have the articles here. It's rare because foxes tend to stay away from populated areas, so it's very rare to see foxes in that area. So we have two articles from Israel 365. Remember, I support Israel 365's charities. You can find those in the description box below. If you're able to, please donate to them. And then Jerusalem Post also took note of this with the most recent one. And all three of these, you can see they have videos so you can watch it. So the last constellation that this is going through that we can see from Earth is this Little Fox constellation. So just something to take note of. Let's see. I think there were maybe a couple more things. Here's this is like a timeline. These are the key dates. And for the 14th and 15th of March, that's when it's going to be. It's going to be in the Serpens or Serpentis constellation. So the tail of the snake, right? And remember, it's on the 14th of March. That's when it's going to make its closest approach to Earth. So as it's at its closest point to the Earth, that from our point of view, it's going to be in the tail of the snake, right? And this is a comet that's missing its tail. So I don't know if that could be symbolic of like you have a snake. It's been going on like this timeline of Satan's rule on Earth has been going for the last 6,000 years. We're at the tail end of it. And now we have Christ rule for the last 1,000 years. And it doesn't have a tail yet because that's far off in the future. We're just at the beginning. Does that make sense? So you could see it that way. Let's go back here. I think that is pretty much it. Yeah, I just have this article because it has this one actually puts the closest approach to Earth, March 14th. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Michelle, for sending this to me. I have this on my tracker now. Just another interesting thing. We have these two interesting comets. Are they going to appear to come in contact with each other like Joseph Smith said? I don't know. Probably not, but maybe. But that's going to be it for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it. Oh, and look at this. There's one person on here that's looking at the spreadsheet. Oh no, it's a skunk. I thought that was a fox. Never mind. There's 4 people looking, and it assigns each person like one of these animals. All right. Make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.